Well, here we are again, Alton Park for the first round of the GB4 Championship. Last year we started out at Snetterton. This year things have changed, and this is not the only thing that's changed. 14 new drivers on the grid, one returning driver from last year. GB4 is about to get even more exciting than it was in 2022. Let's get familiarised with the GB4 Championship as we get ready for the first race of the season.
The GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, is the UK's best value single-seater series and is run by Motorsport Vision's racing arm, MSVR. The 2023 season will see drivers as young as 15 racing the Tartus F4 T014 at 7 events across the country, with 3 races per weekend for a total of 21 races over the season. Each race weekend consists of 1 qualifying session and 3 18-minute races. The third race features a complete reverse grid, with the fastest drivers from qualifying starting towards the back of the pack. The calendar starts at Alton Park on Easter weekend, before we head to Silverstone Grand Prix and Donington Park in May. Then we head to Snetterton in June, Silverstone Grand Prix once again at the end of July, Brands Hatch in September, and then we round up the season with a return to Donington Park at the end of October. There's no required pit stops in GB4, but each driver is only allowed to use a maximum of 6 tyres per race weekend, or 1.5 sets, so tyre strategy plays a key part. There are multiple prizes up for offer in GB4, a £50,000 contribution to a 2024 campaign in GB3 or British Formula 4, as well as the George Russell Pole Position Cup awards each driver who claims a pole position a £125 cash prize, and the driver who takes the most poles throughout the year will win the Pole Position Cup and a further £1,000. Finally, there is the GB4 shootout for the top teenage national Formula 4 drivers, who will take part in a 3-way shootout for a £20,000 prize fund towards a seat in next season's GB4 Championship.
Well, it's the second season of the GB4 Championship, the brainchild of MSV Supremo Jonathan Palmer. You'll recognise this man if you watched last year, Piers Pryor, driver, our expert, also our co-commentator. And you were there for most of the season last year, and I think we agreed that GB4 threw up probably more exciting racing than even GB3.
The racing throughout the season was epic. Of course, the GB4 cars, they're fast, they're great to drive, but also they allow for really close racing. And throughout the season we saw crazy action up and down the field, winners throughout loads of different teams, yeah, just a great season. I'm looking forward to 2023, which will hopefully be even better with more cars on the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting this season with 15 cars on the grid. Last year Nicholas Taylor was our champion, and he was impressive throughout the season. It took him a little while though to get used to the car, but once he got the starts nailed, he was absolutely into the distance, and he's actually coaching some of the drivers this year in GB4, so they're going to get his expertise, which I think will be invaluable, won't it?
Of course, he won the championship with Fortec, and he's back again with Fortec. Unfortunately not in the seat this time. He's going to be, as you mentioned, helping their drivers, who are going to be taking all of the expertise from him they can. He did so well in that team last year, starting out fast but a few rough edges, and then by the end of the season he was just, on fire, and rightly so, our champion. And of course we've got some new drivers as well throughout the season, in fact, loads of new drivers.
Yeah, I think also a big success story that we need to talk on is the F1 Academy has taken 3 GB4 drivers from last year. Megan Jilks is there, Chloe Grant as well, and Jess Edgar. So it just shows that, these F1 Academy is worldwide technically, but it's more European based, I guess. And, they're taking on these young drivers from GB4. So GB4 has already cemented itself in a really important position in the world of motorsport, or at least certainly in the UK. Other drivers that maybe impressed you, Kevin Mills Racing last year, now KMR Sport. Tom Mills was
Of course, Tom Mills was right up there throughout the season. I think he got 4th in the end. I might be wrong on that, but it's just off the top of my head. But yeah, he's back for another year with the KMR Sport team. He'll no doubt be strong. He's had good pace so far from what I've seen, and he'll be raring to go and trying to take the championship this year.
Yeah, and we saw Jared Waberski, who was Tom Mills' teammate last year, stepping up to GB3. He was in his first race earlier, a solid performance for him. Didn't qualify maybe as well as he would have hoped to. And actually Jeremy Fairburn is another teammate of Tom Mills this year. He's an American driver from Florida, and we caught up with him ahead of the season.
Jeremy Fairburn, car number 87, KMR Sport.
Tell us a little bit about your history, your background in terms of motor racing.
Yeah, for sure. So I started off karting when I was about 7 years old. My dad had a few toys that he would just take to the track, and I was always into cars growing up. Like, all my birthday parties growing up would be car themed, stuff like that. So yeah, I went to the go-kart track when I was 7, and ever since I just fell in love with it. I won a national race in Las Vegas, and then after that, when I was 15, I moved up into cars. Just did a bit of testing in F4, and then I did USF Juniors last year, the 2022 season.
You're new to the UK in terms of your first European campaign in GB4 this year. We have seen a bit of you in the UK because, of course, you did the Formula Ford Festival last year.
Yes, that was great. It was such a great race.
And ninth, was it overall at Brands Hatch, an iconic circuit?
Yes, I was hoping for better, but the final got cut short, unfortunately. So yeah, ninth was all we could pull off. But yeah, it was still a great race, such a great event.
And as a new driver to the European tracks, of course, other than Brands Hatch, every other circuit's new to you, so it's a reasonably steep learning curve to learn the car and the circuit and the teams, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the tracks are like nothing I have in America, for sure. So just a bit of a learning curve there, yeah, just getting used to the tracks and yeah, the car as well. I've never driven anything with a turbo, so that took a bit of getting used to, for sure.
And what would you like to try and achieve over the course of the GB4 Championship season?
I mean, hopefully the championship, that's the goal, I mean, for everyone, but that's what I'm going for sure.
Good to hear from Jeremy Fairburn there, who's come over from the United States and got P2 for his first race. So if he gets a good start and Tom Mills doesn't get a good start, could end up overtaking his teammate, but really strong start for KMR Sport as well. And this GB4 car, Piers, you know, we've seen it, it's a cool looking car, right? It's like a traditional looking racing car. Hasn't got the halo like the GB3 car, so it maybe looks like the kind of Formula One cars I remember from back in the day, back in the 90s. If you've never got into one of these racing cars, what is it like to step into it? Because I'm pretty sure I wouldn't even fit.
It would be a squeeze for you, John, but they're
Thank you.
they are quite tight. As you've seen when the drivers get in, they really have to sort of hunker themselves down, and you really don't have a lot of room in there. If you're tall, then you've got to hunch up a little bit, but it's more about the narrowness. I mean, you're basically putting your feet down. Kind of, people have said it's like getting in a bathtub with a sort of cover on it, and it really is like that. You have a clutch on the left-hand side, but it's a very small pedal, and then your main two pedals are, of course, the brake and the accelerator, but the brake is in the middle, and you brake with your left foot, generally, rather than your right foot as you would in a road car. And then the gears, 6 gears with paddle shifters, so when you're accelerating up the gears, you don't have to lift off or use the clutch. The clutch is purely for getting off the line only, and when you stop. And then when you change down, hit the brakes, pull the paddle, it goes down gears. No hand brakes, no air conditioning, no amenities like that. It's a pure thoroughbred racing car.
You mean there's no sat-nav?
There is no sat-nav. The drivers have to know the circuit.
I get lost. When you say left foot braking, don't try that in a road car.
Well, you can if you want, but most people, when they first do it, will almost go through the windscreen.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. And we also see in the helmets, we'll take a closer look a little bit later, the hands device, which is there, and that was introduced into all sort of race cars.
It's been for a few years now,
to stop kind of whiplash, to stop your head moving forward too hard.
Effectively, you'll see the drivers, as you mentioned, have their helmet and then the hands device, which goes over your shoulders, and then the seatbelt strap over the top of those. They're normally made of carbon fibre, and that basically stops your head going forward any further than it should do. So in a front-on impact, it protects your neck. And of course, there's loads of different safety features as part of this championship that the drivers wear, and also as part of the cars, to make sure, as much as motorsport is dangerous and there's no way of getting around that because we're going faster on the circuit, we reduce the risks as much as possible. So most of the drivers will have carbon helmets, you've got the hands device, fireproof overalls, fireproof boots, gloves. They'll almost all have fireproof underwear. Of course, the cars are a carbon monocoque, so they're very, very strong. There's loads of safety implementations. There's even fire extinguisher systems that go throughout the car, which the driver can activate, or the marshals should the driver be stuck in the car. So as safe as they can be.
Excellent stuff. Well, let's take a closer look at some of the statistics on this GB4 car. Lewis McGlade has all the details.
The 2023 car then is the same as we were racing in 2022. The Tata's F4 T014, an affordable entry for a lot of these drivers that are moving their way out of karting into slicks and wings. An engine of a 1.4 litre, 160 brake horsepower engine that's sending all of that to the rear wheels, being slowed down by Brembo brakes. Taking a look at the rear of the car, we can see the 6-speed sequential gearbox, all controlled by paddles on the rear of the steering wheel. And as we move around, we can take a look at that rear wing. Adjustable over 2 profiles. They've got a little bit that they can do with that to make the car more oversteery, faster in a straight line as well. Tyres, the Pirelli tyres that we were running back in 2022, these they get 6 tyres over a race weekend, and the weight of the car being 570 kilos, definitely on the lighter side of things. We'll take a look at the twin wishbone suspension, adjustable for all of the drivers and teams, as well as the adjustable front wing as well. All of these setup changes, all the drivers will be using to maximise their performance across a race weekend.
Hi, my name is Colin Queen. I'm racing for Fortech Motorsports in the GB4 Championship, and my number is
62.
My name is Cooper Webster. I drive for Evans GP and my car number is 37.
Dylan Hodgin, Privateer, DH Racing and number 50.
Hi, I'm Harry Reynolds. I'm racing for Elite Motorsport, number 23.
So, race number 60, racing for Graham Burnton Racing, and I'm Harry Burgoyne.
G'day, I'm Jack Clifford, racing for KMR Sport in the number 3 GB4 car.
My name is Jason Conzo. I race for Oldfield Racing and my number is number 4.
Jeremy Fairburn, car number 87, KMR Sport.
Joshua Fan, Elite Racing.
So I'm Liam McNeely. I'm racing for Fox Motorsport this year and I'm car number 48.
Hi, I'm Sid Smith, car 99. I'm 16 years old and I'm racing with Fox Motorsport for 2023 season in GB4.
Tom Mills, KMR Sport, number 21.
So those are some of the new faces that we're going to get to know across the year here in the GB4 Championship. Piers Pryor still alongside me. We need to talk about this track here. I've not driven around Alton Park, unsurprisingly.
Have you not?
But you've driven around here quite a few times. You've had some good days, some bad days, and a few mishaps along the way, I believe.
I have, yes. It's a great circuit. I haven't actually driven it in a GB4 car. I've driven it in what was the BRDC F3. It's now GB3, but it's an amazing circuit, one of the best circuits in the country for sure, and it's such a pleasing circuit to drive, and it really suits these GB4 cars. They've got good grip, they're a great chassis, there's enough aero to keep the corners like Cascades at turn 2, Druids around the back end of the circuit, to keep the speeds up and make it an exhilarating ride, and also get the drivers to learn about aerodynamics. But at the same time, it suits the drivers because also they're not locked to the circuit. There's not loads of aero, so it moves around, and it's just a whole heap of fun.
Now last year we saw quite a few overtakes, a lot of drama. Do you think we're going to get the same this year? Because obviously GB4 is where a lot of drivers move from karts into the slicks and wings cars. Do you think we're just going to see the same? Because there's quite a lot of what you'd consider inexperienced drivers on the grid, mixed with maybe the experience of Tom Mills, who starts on pole.
I really hope so. I really hope we get more racing like we did last year, because it was pretty much every race was... it makes it easy for Lewis and I to commentate on when there's so much going on. Oulton Park, notoriously not the easiest circuit to overtake on. It's a little narrower than some other circuits. It's also got some tighter sections and chicanes, which make overtaking not as easy as somewhere, for example, like Silverstone or Donington Park. But yeah, it's a great circuit, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the young drivers who are starting their racing career, a lot of them straight out of karts, fare on this circuit, because they can master it around here, they can pretty much master the GB4 car anywhere.
Yeah, and I'm sure they've done plenty of laps on the sims beforehand, which has become a very important part of their preparation. We've waffled on about the track enough. Let's have a proper look at it and see where the overtaking spots and certainly the drama could take place.
Let's take a look then at the circuit we'll be racing, Alton Park in Cheshire, starting out the season on Easter weekend. Old Hall, Avenue, Cascades, all fantastic corners as we head down Lakeside towards the Island Bend into the Shallows hairpin, which has seen its fair share of drama. Through Britons, over Hilltop and down towards Hislops before we get Knickerbrook, Clay Hill, Water Tower and the fantastic double right-hander of Druids. Under the bridge as we head down towards Lodge Corner and then up and over the rise at Deer Leap. It is an undulating test of a circuit at Alton Park with 17 fantastic challenging turns sending us around the Cheshire countryside. It really is a difficult circuit to nail every single one of the 2.692 miles that is progressed by each of our drivers across the weekend. 22 metres of elevation, most of that done down at Clay Hill. It is a big test.
So that's where we're racing today here in Cheshire. It was about 14 or 15 degrees earlier on. Later in the day now, 5:15, the race is due to start. It's got a bit cooler, maybe 10 degrees, maybe 12 maximum now, so that's going to have a big impact on the tyres. Qualifying took place earlier on, and as you might expect with his experience, Tom Mills will start on pole position. I caught up with him and the other drivers in the top 3 earlier. So Tom Mills, the only returning driver in the GB4 field, and I think there's probably a lot of pressure on you to perform, and you have pole position in these first 2 races. You must be happy?
It's a perfect start to the weekend, especially at Alton Park. If you get off the line and lead into turn 1, it's quite hard to overtake around here, so the first lap's important. So pole position's a perfect place. Like you said, I felt quite a bit of pressure actually as the only returning driver. Everyone's saying you should be the fastest, everyone's benchmarking themselves against me, but so far so good.
Since we last spoke to you in October, have you done much racing, or has it been, I know that you joined the grid kind of last minute here with KMR Sport. have you had much experience in the off-season, or has it been a little bit of a sort of quick get in the car and let's go?
Yes, I did the Waterways Trophy in a Formula Ford a few weeks after the last round, and I hadn't driven a car again since the media day a few weeks ago, so I did one pre-season test before this week. So it's probably been one of the worst pre-seasons you could have, not knowing, not having any budget, only currently in for one round. So it's been not the best pre-season, but luckily, because I have experience in the car, I've been able to hit the ground running.
Yeah, but you've had a very positive start to this weekend, and let's hope that continues in the race. Just a word on your teammates. Obviously Jeremy second, so it shows that KMR Sport are on the money straight away.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I love working with Jack and Jeremy. They're brilliant people, so it's great to have Jeremy alongside me. Jack's improving all the time. They've learned so much this week. They started the week not where they are now, and they've learned so much from myself and the team, and the car they've given us is brilliant. KMR Sport have given me, but all of us, a great car, and it shows with the front row lockout.
And one for the geeks watching, and this is a question I asked you just before we started chatting, not the same car that you drove last year?
No, I'm in an ex-Hill Speed car. So Jeremy's driving my car from last season, and Jack's in Jared's. So different car, they all feel the same though.
Excellent stuff. Well, best of luck this weekend, starting pole on both the first two races.
Thank you very much.
So Jeremy Fairburn starting P2 for this first race of the season, your first race in GB4. You must be happy?
Yeah, very happy with that. Unfortunately, Tom just got me there at the end, but I'll take it for sure. P2's great.
It must be good to have Tom Mills alongside you. He's got that year of GB4 experience, and I'm sure he can give you a lot of advice and certainly set the pace as well.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got some video and data going into each track, so it's very helpful coming to tracks that you're new to, of course, and he's rapid, so it's nice to have him here for sure.
It must be reassuring as well that KMR Sport is doing so well from the off, because you've come over here to the UK. I don't know how familiar you are with these tracks, but to have a team that's already on the pulse must be really important.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm loving it here with them so far. I'm very glad we ended up with Kevin.
So for those of you, the first time we've spoken here on the live broadcast, what were you doing before you came into GB4? What's been the highlight of your career so far?
So I did a bit of racing here in England, the Formula Ford Festival. I did it twice, once with just on my own, and then last year I did it with Kevin Mills Racing, and that was great. I love the festival for sure. It's a great learning experience every year, and I'd hope to do it again this year, but we'll see if that's possible, but yeah. And I also did USF Juniors last year, just the Road to Indy ladder program. Similar car, but very different actually at the same time.
Yeah, you're going to have to get used to some very, very cold tracks here in the UK. But Jeremy, for this first race, P2 on the grid, best of luck.
Thank you very much.
So Cooper Webster, third in qualifying in your first GB4 race weekend. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, that session went, decently well. I was pretty happy with my lap, even though it wasn't spot on. And a bit later in the session, I was on a better lap, but then got a bit of dirt on the track. But before that session, I qualified third or above. I would have been pretty happy. So that's what we did, and it's put us right there for the races. So I'm pretty confident, and I'm looking forward to have some fun in the races.
What is your plan going into the race then from third? Because you can still be, you could potentially be ahead by the end of that first corner.
Yeah, I've watched other races, and cars have come back from further in the grid to the lead. So I'm just going to play it by ear and do the best start I can, and then just find where I put myself on the way down to turn one. But I know the two cars in front of me are pretty quick, and it's only early in the season, and we'll just keep learning and it keeps making steps towards the rest of the season.
This is the first time we've spoken this season. For people who are just getting to know you, what were you doing before, and what success have you had so far in your career?
Yeah, I came from Australia racing S5000, and I've scored a few wins in that series and finished third in the championship last year and second in the Tasman series. So that's where I've come from, and it's a bit different. V8 engines, 500 horsepower, bigger slicks, less wings, and a heavier car. So there was a lot of learning to go on, and we prepared ourselves and did a few test days before we came and raced here, and I think it's paid off so far.
A tricky time for friends and family back home to watch, but I'm sure people will be tuning in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my whole family and friends are watching from home, and they're very excited and staying up late night. So I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, I'm definitely missing them.
Well, best of luck for the race, and I'm sure they'll be worth staying up when you get a podium, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Cheers. Well, we're here in the assembly area. Piers Pryor alongside me, Jon Jackson, and as you can see here, Harry Reynolds in the Elite Motorsports car having some very tricky moments here. They got the laptop out, they got all the bodywork off, the fronts off as well. What does it look like it's going on, Piers?
All is not well, John. No, as far as I'm aware, or from what I saw being in the assembly area, Harry drove onto the grid, engine on, and unfortunately stalled the car and then hasn't been able to restart it. And it looks like we're going fairly shortly. And as far as I'm aware, there's still bits off the car. They're still working on it. There's laptops plugged in. There's spanners being flown about. He's currently blocking in about 5 or 6 cars on the dummy grid. So I can't imagine there's. They're thinking he's going to get out before we get racing, but it's going to be touch and go, I think.
Yeah, and you said to me just before we came to the assembly area here, they've chosen a very interesting place because they are blocking all these cars out. Is that maybe in the hope that if they need a couple of extra 30 seconds, they can maybe get it done?
I think that's probably not tactical. I think that's where the car ended up. But hey, we'll figure it out. In the meantime, Harry's sitting there looking very chilled underneath the helmet, thinking about his race because he's wanting to be as prepared as possible for the first race of the season, his first race in the GB4 Championship.
He's got a very striking helmet, I have to say, and not the greatest time to be looking at Harry's helmet there, but it looks pretty nice. I mean, we've talked a lot about helmets as the GB4 and GB3 season happened last year, and we're going to take a look at the helmets of the drivers. Weirdly, Piers, a lot of the feedback we get on social media, and feel free to send in suggestions and things you want to see from behind the scenes in GB4 and in GB3. The helmets seem to be the thing that people want to see the most of.
I didn't catch that, John.
Sorry, the people want to see helmet. We're just trying not to get run over there in the background here. People want to see the helmets. There's a lot of the feedback we get on social media is they want to see drivers' helmets.
Well, it's a very personal part of a driver's outfit. It's about the only thing they can fully customise. The race suits are often dictated by the teams, the championship organisers. The cars, of course, are generally teams and the sponsors. And then the helmet is used purely for the drivers. And you'll see that, of course, as you said, Harry Reynolds there got a very striking design. He's got some crazy colours on there, black and white with some stripes. Other drivers like a bit more of a plain helmet design. I had a fairly plain pink helmet. We've got, for example, some black helmets over there.
Yeah, but the Piers, I can say actually now we've raced together technically in the off season when we did a bit of karting together. It does. It annoyed me getting overtaken by the guy with the pink helmet because I knew that was Piers prior, and I couldn't see anything because it was raining. But yeah, I can see exactly what you mean about people having different types of helmet and different colours, and people wanting striking ones and maybe ones that just kind of blend in. Looks like maybe they've got this sorted.
It's rolling over.
Yeah,
no, that does not sound promising, unfortunately.
It's probably lucky for Elite because Elite have quite a lot of teams here doing lots of different things. So they have got a lot of different mechanics. We've got Tom Leben here who drove in GB3
not
last
a mechanic,
year.
Of course.
Not a mechanic, but lending moral support as well.
Looking concerned for his teammate. I think Tom Leben's probably going to be, I assume he's a coach for the Elite Motorsport team this weekend, helping the drivers get the most out of their GB4 machinery. Of course, very successful in GB3 last year. I think he was third in the championship, wasn't he? Just about.
Yeah, he was very, very strong towards the end there, and coming on to do some other things. But yeah, it looks very positive. Looks like that car's getting ready there.
Hopefully
I think we have.
All 15 on the grid.
Yeah, well, it looks like we've got a slight delay. We can see Jonathan Palmer behind the back of Harry Reynolds' car just there. He's currently deep in conversation. I was about to go and jump over and have our first chat of the season with JP, but it looks like he's actually... JP is the kind of guy that wants to know how everything works. He's very much across the mechanical side of things as well as the actual things that happen on track. So we'll let him have that conversation here.
Yeah, they're moving the car out of the way because... everyone else out of the way so we can get...
Well, Harry's starting 8th, isn't he, on the grid? So
yes.
This is good. He wouldn't want to be missing out here, starting kind of halfway along the grid. A word on Tom Mills. Obviously, we spoke to him earlier on today after qualifying. He said there's actually quite a lot of pressure on him being the only returning driver because if he didn't get pole position, then it would look like he's lost it a bit.
Well, he was very, very strong last year. I think managing 4th in the end. He was had flashes of brilliance last year, a little bit of inconsistency, unfortunately, through the middle of the year, helped by his championship, but coming back, same team, now slightly rebranded as KMR Sport. Yep. So he was very quick, and of course his teammate, Jared Verberski, taking 2nd in the championship last year, now promoted to GB3. Tom Mills back for a championship challenge this year, and I expect him to win races and potentially even this one, the first race of the season, but being pushed hard by his teammate. Of course.
Jeremy Fairburn, we heard from him earlier as well, and he's come over from Florida and instantly done very, very well, and he's right behind Tom.
Very fast. And then another fast American driver in 3rd place, Cooper Webster, who's racing for the brand... Sorry, Australian, my mistake.
It's alright. It's just a different part of the world, Piers. It's fine.
Yeah, just completely, entirely different concept.
Well, actually, Cooper Webster's got a lot of family over as well, and they've been enjoying it. And I know a lot of people will be watching over in Australia. So hang on, let's think about this. It's like 5 p.m. here. It's gonna be like the middle of the night in Australia, basically. It's gonna be Sunday morning. So happy Easter Sunday to everyone watching this over in Australia. Hopefully, Cooper can put on a good performance, give those KMR Racing drivers a bit of a test. Also, KMR Racing still very much a family affair, with obviously Kevin Mills in charge, and Emily Mills, Tom Mills' sister, one of his mechanics, always there at his side. I can see her over there deep in conversation with some of the other people in the team. And we're gonna
maybe have of course, in third place. There's a new team, among some other new teams as well.
Well, we've got loads of new teams. We'll get to know them. We've also got a lot of new drivers. But I'm just going to walk over here and see if Jonathan Palmer would like to have a quick word with me. JP.
Hi, John.
We've seen you taking a particular interest here in Harry Reynolds' car. It looks like it's getting there.
Yeah, I mean, God, what a fantastic effort from a whole team, literally together. The elite team, Elite Motorsport, our GB4 team as well, and Mount Tune who do the engines. You know, there was a problem, and you know, these days these things are all pretty complex with electronics, even at this level, at GB4 level. But it looks like they've got it sorted. Certainly enough to run. I think, you know, it may not have totally cured it, but fingers crossed. But what a great start for GB4 this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say the second season, obviously, last year was such a success, and we've seen 3 of the drivers go on to the F1 Academy, 3 of the ladies that were driving last year, and actually we see familiar faces here with Nicholas Taylor coaching the Fortec drivers and Max Maserati coaching the Graham Brunton driver. And I mean, that shows that experience from last year is so invaluable that the teams are getting these drivers back in to coach these young drivers.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen that this is a grid that's sort of filling up because it is affordable. You know, there are people that we know that British F4 is a great championship, but you do need £300,000 or £400,000 a year to do it. And none of these guys have got that sort of money, but they do want to try and get there and prove that they should be on the ladder. And that for probably sort of half of that money, £150,000, £200,000, still a lot of money, but nevertheless, to be driving a car like the GB4 car and here as part of the GT GB3 package is great for them. Great too to have good sunny weather for the first round, because Alton Park's a pretty unforgiving circuit, and a lot of these guys are having their first race, well, they're all having their first race in, most of them in GB4, and it's quite nice that they've got some good conditions, but I suspect we'll see 1 or 2 incidents. The way motor racing is, nevertheless.
I would imagine so. While I've got you, JP, a word on Joseph Loke earlier. Very impressive in GB3. His first race in this championship. He was in F4 last season, stepping up now to GB3. Not only getting pole position in the first 2 races, taking that victory and getting a lap record. That is a serious start from him.
It really is. It's a fantastic effort, and it's so competitive. 25 cars in GB3, and 21 cars in 1 second around a long circuit like Alton Park. But that was a great start from Joseph. But he's not going to have it easy. He knows that. This is the start of a very long championship. And I've absolutely no doubt already that we're going to see our champion, and he's going to be following in the footsteps of Zach O'Sullivan and Luke Browning, guys who are acquitting themselves very, very well, of course, in FIA F3. Luke in his first season, Zach in his second, winning at Australia in the last round. So it's very, very exciting seeing them, you know, definitely going to be progressing through, and F1 is not an unrealistic dream.
Yeah, and of course the winner of the GB3 Championship will get that FIA F3 test as well. And we've, you know, as you mentioned there, Luke Browning has gone on to do some amazing things. So we can see the strength of that grid. It's going to be an exciting year. JP, I'll let you get on because we're going to move on and meet some of the new teams, but we'll catch up with you later in the year. Thank you. Jonathan Palmer from MSV there. Sorry, Piers.
You're okay. We've managed to grab
Tom. Fine, I'll let you talk to Tom Lemon.
We grab Tom Lemon because Tom, of course, we saw you on the GB3 grid last year. You're not driving today. What are you here for then?
I'm here coaching Reynolds, in fact, GB4. And Josh Irfan as well in the GB4 with Elite. Yeah. We had a few issues then, but we're back going again now, and hopefully we get out for a good race.
Of course, Elite did very strong at the start of last year. Good to have them back, and of course you've got, is it 3 cars this season? No, 2.
2 in GB4, yeah, 2 in GB4 and 3 in GB3.
And how are they doing so far from a coaching point of view?
Well, since yesterday morning, they've definitely learnt a lot and progressed a lot over the 2 test days. There's still more to come in qualifying. We've got a little bit more to find, but we're definitely getting closer.
And of course, how are they getting on so far? Because as you know, with John last year, you were fighting pretty close. And obviously the inter-teammate rivalry, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's a bit niggly. Of course, first round, so maybe it's still pretty calm so far, but they're getting all right?
Yeah, they're getting on both well. really well. They're both pushing each other to progress and learn more, both quick in different places, which is definitely a positive for the team and the two drivers.
And what about yourself? Of course, a GB3 alumni, you came third last season, just about. What are you going to be doing this year?
I'm doing Formula Regional in Europe, which is sort of a step below FIF3, sort of a side step / up step for GB3, you could say. But yeah, done a few test days in that and signed up for the season for this year. First round's in Imola and end of this month.
Who are you racing with?
Alton Motorsport this year.
So another team from the GB3 grid. And what are your hopes for the season? Are you looking forward to a strong season, or are you going to go in for a learning year? What's the plan?
The main aim is to go in and learn as much as possible. With the European tracks, I've never done them, so to get them under my belt, difficult championship, big grid, so mainly learning really.
And also it was stacked last year, I remember watching it, but anyway, good luck in that. Hopefully your drivers go well. We'll let you have a last word with them before the race, and we'll catch up with you later on in the year.
Perfect, thank you.
Cheers, Tom. Right, Jon.
Yeah, well, I'm just hoping to get a word with Eddie Ives, the team principal of Elite Motorsport, because it'd be good to know what's going on with Harry's car. But he's just started deeper conversation with Jonathan Palmer, and you just heard from Jonathan Palmer there. I don't want to interrupt him again because he's given us some of his time already. I don't know. Maybe we'll wait. I want to talk about Dylan Hotchin.
Yes.
Because he's
the bright pink car.
Very striking bright pink car. We've actually got two pink cars together. But Dylan's got the. Look at the wheels. Look at the wheel rims.
I love it.
The attention to detail here is absolutely massive. But Dylan's operating as a solo entrant, basically in his own team, and he's certainly got a lot of people around him.
Yeah.
How does that affect his ability to be competitive? Because we've learned before last season that when you're in a team on your own, you're not getting the shared data from other drivers, but also, you haven't got the support of a well-established team like, we've been talking about Elite, we've been talking about KMR Sport. How is that going to affect him, and what really can he achieve, do you think?
Well, first of all, it's really cool that a championship like GB4, you can cater from basically privateer entry, or kind of almost like we had Rosso Verdi in with Christian Lester. We've got obviously Dylan Hotchin racing for Dylan Hotchin this weekend, right up to major teams like Fortec and Elite. And it's cool. Of course, the advantage of a big team with a wealth of experience is that you're relying and using that experience. So,
a great example of that is, Elite here, they've just had that problem with Harry Reynolds' car, and about 10 blokes have just run over with various different tools. I'm imagining Dylan probably hasn't got that there, so if he had a similar issue in the assembly area here, he might not be getting on the grid.
Potentially. I think the main difference between running with a bigger team and maybe a sort of a solo entry would be the fact that you haven't got that wealth of traditional years of experience with the cars or similar cars, and also if you're only a single driver in a team, you haven't got any direct reference data, because of course you have data from your car, so the speed traces, throttle, steering, gear choices. If you've got another teammate, you can see what they're doing. They're going faster in that corner because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Whereas you haven't got that, and we spoke about that in GB3 last year with Matthew Rees, who was on his own for a while. So it is a disadvantage in some respects, but in other ways, if you're driving the car well, you can do really well. And I think that it's great to see so many of these smaller teams come up, and it's great to have this opportunity in the GB3 Championship to show that you can have it, either big budget teams or with lots of experience, or you can come in and race, give it a crack as best you can with a smaller budget, and that's what the GB4 Championship caters for.
Yeah, Jonathan Palmer was just saying, how much more affordable the GB4 Championship is compared to maybe other options out there, and that certainly gives Dylan and other drivers the opportunity to get out there. With Alva and Kulkarni, we've also got two Indian drivers on the grid, so yes. I think it's really good that we're seeing different nationalities as well. Last year with Jared Waberski, we had a South African on the grid.
And Canadian in Megan Gilks.
And it was good to see that we were, getting people from across the world watching, so wherever you're watching now, feel free to get in touch. The social media is varying on different channels.
And the comments.
You can find us. Let us know what you want to see from behind the scenes in the GB4 Championship, because, like now, while we're just waiting for things to get sorted on track, we do have moments where we can grab people. I can see Nicholas Taylor. Now, I would love to chat to Nicholas Taylor.
We've got
to look around, he's walked
Ollie
off.
Dustin here if we wanted to grab a word.
Right, let's walk and talk. Let's walk and talk. Let's walk and talk. Nicholas Taylor's here. I'm going to get him whether he wants to or not. Nick, please come over here. Come on. Now, we've just seen that Tom Leben, GB3 driver last year, is doing a bit of coaching. You're also doing a bit of coaching. We've briefly discussed it, me and Piers. How are your guys doing?
All right. We haven't had we've only had a few test days before the season, but the pace is looking strong. We're still building on the pace and the car, but the car looks strong, and we should have a good race.
Being in the assembly area here, watching cars go around the track, do you not wish you were in those cars?
Of course. Not these cars, maybe the GB3 cars, but maybe hopefully next year.
Okay. Is that the plan for you?
Yeah, it is.
But I think still being involved is big, and we were saying actually earlier, it's a huge credit to you and what the job you did last year in GB4 that you're back, coaching these younger drivers, because you have such experience, and they can't get better than you in GB4.
Yeah, I just wanted to be in the paddock, even if it was just spectating. I just wanted to see the racing. Even if I'm not racing, it's just the atmosphere is amazing.
Have you been doing any sim racing against our commentator Lewis McGlade at all? And maybe if you have, who's been winning?
Not yet, actually.
Really, haven't?
A plan. I think we're going to play some golf this year, but I think he's better than me in that. But maybe I'll get him back in sim racing.
Fine, Nick, we'll let you go. Nicholas Taylor, last year's inaugural GB4 champion. As I say, now coaching some of the drivers with Fortec, and nice to know that he's staying within the Fortec family. Yeah. It would be great to see him back, hopefully on the grid next year in the GB3 car, as he's just said is the plan there. Now, we are waiting for the cars to go out on track. It was one of those things where, because there are other races happening before, if something happens, it means the track needs to be repaired, or a car needs to be taken off the track or retrieved. That's probably the better word. It can cause slight delays. So if you have tuned in early, thanks for sticking with us. We are here in the assembly area. We're just going to walk around now, and I just want to point out a few of the different cars. Oh, we can go and speak to Ollie Dutton if you want. Yeah, come over with me. He's looking very cool. Ollie Dutton,
how you doing, mate?
the team. You are the team principal, aren't you?
I am. Yes, I am the team principal.
Okay. What's your dad's role?
He's team owner.
Team owner, that's it. I knew there was a subtle difference, but I didn't want to get it wrong. We've just been chatting to Nicholas Taylor there. Great to have him still involved, even if he's not driving.
Yeah. We had a great year with Nick. He's part of the family here. So any knowledge that he can kind of pass on to Colin and the team, it's valuable. So yeah, we like to have him around and kind of help the boys as much as possible.
With it being the second season of GB4, have you learned a lot more about this car? Presumably, going in last year, it was all, quite new, getting used to it, and now you've got all the data to sort of get a head start.
Yeah, Nicholas gave us a lot of solid data and onboards from last year with his 10 pole positions or, successful year he had. So we're comfortable with the stuff that we have in the office, and yeah, I think every team's kind of got to the point now where they know where the car needs to be. It's just kind of getting the lap done in quali, and then leaving it up to the boys in the races and seeing the chaos unravel.
It must be good for you to start the year now with, of course, full team, 3 drivers. You mentioned all the data you got from last year. Yeah. That must help all of them simultaneously.
Of course, yeah. Colin's been done a lot of winter testing. We're very proud of where he is. A little bit unfortunate with quali, he didn't get the lap in that he deserved. We should have been about 4 or 5 tenths down the road to where he is now. I think we would have just been done by Tom. P2 is where we expected him to be. And then 2 late signings with Ruhan and Addy, and they've done 1 day in the car, never been around Oulton before, and it's thrown in the deep end massively. So luckily they've got Colin to kind of learn off, and we're going to try and get them up to speed as quickly as we can.
Excellent stuff. Well, we'll let you get on and peruse here in half in the shade, half in the sun there. Ollie Dutton, the team principal of Fortec Motorsport, not to be confused with Richard Dutton, the team owner. And I think when you own the team, I think you probably want to be known as the team owner. Let's have a little walk around here. No word yet, I don't think, on when the race is going to start. I did want to mention something, and I've done one of those, mind blanks. When you see something, go, yeah, we're going to talk about that next. And I've just wandered off here. Oh, Kevin Mills was walking around.
Yes.
And I think KMR Sport is the new name for Kevin Mills Racing as we knew it last year. So I feel like we should go and have a chat with him, because he's got 2 drivers here. Oh, I'm getting poked around. He's over here. We've two cars at the start of the grid. We should go and have a chat. And I'm sure Kevin Mills will love to chat to me live on the broadcast here, because you're doing very well.
Yeah, locked out the front row for the first meeting. Sort of carried on from where we ended up last year with 3 wins in the last round. Jeremy's come on really well now to get on to P2, in his first year in these cars. Tom obviously raced last year, so his experience is counting, and it's dragging along my other drivers. So I think the 2 together are a good combination.
Excellent. Well, we're wishing the best of luck. Kevin Mills there from KMR Sport. That whistle you might have heard in the background means I need to come over here and get out of the way of 15 very incredibly quick cars. Piers is going to join Lewis McGlade on commentary. We're nearly ready to race here, the first race of the GB4 Championship season here at Alton Park.
Is it the start of something new for some of the drivers on the grid? The 2023 GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, is about to get underway. Qualifying was done earlier, and once again, you can see, as we saw with GB3 as well, it is a beautiful Saturday afternoon, almost pushing into the evening after the slight delay before this race, but it is a scintillating prospect as to what we're going to see from any of these drivers. Again, we were speaking about how in GB3 these are the future superstars. It is very much the same case here in GB4, just a step down the ladder. Let's talk about what had happened in that qualifying session. KMR Sport had an absolutely fantastic one. Tom Mills, the only returning driver in the championship, will be starting this one from pole position, and as we heard from Kevin Mills himself, there from the KMR Sport team, it is Jeremy Fairburn who will be starting alongside him on that front row. Who is going to come out on top in all of that, I do not know. It is going to be a dramatic race. We did have a lot of drama back in 2022, including at this race an awful lot of stalls. It does happen a lot around here, courtesy of the undulating grid, uphill, downhill, and all over the place. There's no part on this grid that is absolutely perfectly flat, and so it does cause its fair share of problems. Hopefully, that won't be the case on this occasion. Of course, one of those drivers that did stall last year, and he'll hate me bringing this up, but it was, of course, 2022 GB4 champion Nicholas Taylor. He did stall in this race, and yet he still went on to go and win the championship. Did just see there, I think that'll be Lee that's just slightly out of position, getting pushed back by Marshall before they'll begin the formation lap. Temperatures come down a little bit, just under 15 degrees, but again, that sun is incredibly low. It will just be getting into the eye line as they head into the braking zone down towards Hislop, potentially up towards Britain's as well, can cause a couple of problems. A 15-car grid then is what awaits us as the formation lap will begin here for the first race in the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC in 2023, and it will be Tom Mills leading them away. He knows how to, lead away from races, lead away from formation laps, lead away in this kind of scenario. I'm sure he'll be calm, but he was saying about a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He'll certainly be feeling that as we head to the race start. There is already a staller in the background. That will be the number 4 that belongs to Jason Conzo. So I was saying that stalls might be a part of it. I am joined, my name is Lewis McGlade, I'm joined in the commentary booth by Piers Pryor. We're seeing it again.
Yep, that's Conzo for the Oldfield Motorsport team. Unfortunately, stalled on the pre-warm-up grid, and then potentially, as we saw one of the cars before, struggling to restart. It's a warm afternoon, and racing engines are notoriously hard to restart once they are warm. But we've got the grid coming up now.
Yep, certainly is. So KMR Sport lock out the front row. Tom Mills on pole position. Jeremy Fairburn alongside in that second position before we get to Cooper Webster for Evans Grand Prix. Starting from third, Colin Queen in the Fortec Motorsports car will start from 4th position. Then we get Liam McNeely, absolutely starred in the final round of last year in that one-off appearance alongside Josh Irfan. He'll start from 6th place. Then we get to Harry Reynolds, who was the car that we were seeing in pieces, basically in the assembly area, alongside Harry Burgoyne for the Graham Brunton Racing team. Very different to the Graham Brunton Racing we had last year. Then we have Alva in 9th, and then Conzo in 10th. But of course, after that, Stall will not be taking to the grid. Sid Smith will start from 11th, and then Jack Clifford in 12th position in the 3rd of the KMR Sport cars. Kulkarni will start from 13th position, and then Dylan Hodge, and the first drivers that will be outside of the 103%. We'll discuss that a little bit more later on as the weekend goes on. And Thomas Lee, who's pushed back into his box, will start this race from 15th on the grid. There is, at the end of pit lane, there is Conzo, so we'll have to start from the end of pit lane. Shouldn't be too bad.
It shouldn't be too bad. He will lose some time off the back of the field, which is unfortunate. You want to start the first race of the season, of course, in the pack with the drivers you've been fighting with, and in terms of times in qualifying, and find out how you end up in the race. But look how bright the sun is there. The circuit is iridescent.
Yeah, like you say, the thankfully going down into Lodge, as we can see it in the commentary booth, where you're looking at the camera, the sun is in basically almost a dead straight line from that point, which means going into Lodge, into that final corner, it's not too blinding. Going into Cascades, however, turn 2, it will be right in your island. How difficult is that?
And it's right into the corner that's potentially the most important and high jeopardy and very, very high speed, where you have to pick your your braking point very specifically, because you've got a slight right kink just as you brake, and then it's downhill twice with 2 little dips, and then you have to turn in and balance the car through the whole thing. So it's a really tricky corner. And that'll make it even more tricky, especially on this first lap with 15 of these GB4s. Well, 14 now. Conzo's time for the pit lane.
Yeah. Very quickly before we get to the race, predictions of a race winner. Is it going to be Tom Mills or someone else?
I am going Tom Mills.
Tom Mills. I would also go Tom Mills. I think you'd be unwise to bet against him. He is an incredible talent, but he will know that, and he will feel the pressure as the first race of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC here at Alton Park, is underway. The new season is go. There was a slow start from Colin Queen from 4th, and there's already a staller in the background.
Harrison.
Not sure that'll be, is it?
Yeah, it is, because Earthman has made it off the line, and then around the outside, I think, that's been a move for the lead, I think.
Yeah, certainly so. We've seen him on their runway down the corner. It is absolutely a switch for the race lead. So Tom Mills dropping backwards, Fairburn up into the race lead. A couple of splits in that pack as we head our way down the hill. A few positions made up. As there we've got Lee into the pit lane after a stall from himself. So we've already seen 3 stalls this season.
Wow, that is dramatic at the start. Tom Mills already getting overtaken on the outside with a little bit of a slower launch than his teammate, and taking the fight right from corner 1.
McNeely is the driver that sat at the rear end in that 5th car on the rear end of that train for the race lead. So it will be Fairburn leading from Mills, leading from Cooper Webster. Colin Queen, after a slightly slower start to the race, managed to get back going again without any major dramas. There is the number 23 of Kilcarney. Interesting to say that the other 2 Fortec drivers, they haven't really had any major preparations racing around. It's their first time taking to the circuit. Dylan Hodgson dropping back a couple of positions with a bit of a lock up there from Kilcarney. Is he going to make the corner? Just about.
Just about. Lock up there will hurt your tyres, but also you've got, is that Harrison? Yeah, that is Harrison, trying to make up for the lost ground he had at the start on the back of that bright pink car of Hutchins. That was a bit of a tongue twister.
That was. Reynolds is the one with the stall on the grid. And then,
Reynolds, sorry, my mistake.
No, it's why I was getting very confused there. Harry Reynolds.
Reynolds, that's
the one with the staller on the grid, managed to get back going. And don't get me wrong, I was calling him Alex Taylor for ages. Obviously, Alex Walker, Nicholas Taylor, merging the 2 for a long time last season. So I'll let you pass on this one. First lap complete then, and it will be Fairburn crossing the line as the race leader. Then Mills, Webster, Queen, McNeely inside the top 5. Irfan in 6th position, then Alva, Clifford, Smith and Burgoyne dropping back a position on the race start. Tom Mills is keeping his teammate very much company at this point in the race.
Tom Mills will be trying to take that lead back as soon as he can. Of course, we know, there's a car going wide at the back of the field there, didn't quite catch who that was, but Tom Mills will be wanting to show his teammate who is boss. Fairbairn, of course, coming in as part of the KMR Sport team, and is showing that he's got great pace and also can get the car off the line well, but let's see how he can defend throughout this race, because the pressure is going to be on, I am sure of it.
Not sure which of the cars was. I'm not sure which of the cars was running wide down at Cascades. I think it might have been Harry Burgoyne, as we can see Lee on the exit of pit lane, so he'll rejoin the race circuit. But Burgoyne, interesting, we've said about Nick Taylor and his coaching efforts. I think it might have been a little bit deep from Fairburn as well.
Let's have a look.
No, he's okay. He's okay. So we've spoken about the coaching from Nicholas Taylor, but of course, 3rd position in the GB4 Championship last year. Burgoyne is being coached by one Maximus Maserati.
Oh yes, Max Maserati, our long-standing championship challenger, and
really
then ended up being 3rd place in the championship after a very, very tight battle with both Jared Boberski and our man in 2nd place, Tom Mills.
Yeah, certainly so. Is he going to be in 2nd place for too much longer? I mean, he might be moving forward. He might be moving backwards, though. Evans GP, the driver there, and I know this is going to not really help because they're both in black and blue, but they are 2 different teams running through the first 2, the orange highlighted mirrors and the red highlighted mirrors. Those both belong to KMR Sport. The car directly behind that 3rd in shot is Webster, who's just set the fastest lap of the race in that number 37. There's a bit more blue on that nose of the Evans GP car. Webster is flying, and I will say he is missing a sim race to take part in this, and you'd think that's crazy, but it is one of the biggest sim races that you can do in sim racing, the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. He is missing that to take part in this championship, so it's slightly more important.
Yeah, races for the sport of Red Bull as he goes wide. Cooper Webster running wide in the Shell Oils hairpin. Of course, it's banked there. The inside tyre can easily become unloaded, and he's run wide and is now right in the clutches of Queen in that Fortec car in 4th place.
Thought Lee was going a bit slow there, but I think just getting to grips with the car in the race. A lot of curb being used there.
Defensive for the lead now.
Yeah, we'll see if Fairburn's having to really fight this one off. Mills is going to get to the outside. He's going to send it in on his teammate. He might just be out a little bit wide there. Fairburn's able to hang on. Look at this though from Cooper Webster, who's almost going forward as well, coming into Knickerbrook. It's very tight between them, and Webster might have to deal about Colin Queen by the time they get up towards the very fast double right-hander at Druids.
Tell you what, we always us thinking maybe they'll just ease themselves into the season. Absolutely not. Tom Mills round the outside, Knickerbrook gives it a go on his teammate. I thought there was going to be contact. Somehow, that is wide on the exit there from Queen.
That would have hurt. That would have hurt. Thankfully, he's not lost anything. I think the car should be okay. But that you feel that in the car, right?
Yeah, because you're sitting right on the bottom, of the car in these GB4 and the GB3 cars as well, and your bum is pretty much on the track. As we see, that is up the inside.
It's not slowed him down at all. Straight to the inside, Queen goes. Webster gives him room. He's trying to hang on as they exit Old Hall. It's so narrow down here. They'll head through Denton's on the avenue and the race down towards Cascades. The inside line from the number 37. That blue and black machine is able to hang on to third position at the moment. It's Cooper Webster from Queen, from McNeely and from Irfan, who set the fastest lap of the race in that black and yellow Elite Motorsports car.
Irfan licking his lips, watching all this going on ahead, thinking I can have some positions here.
Yep, certainly so. Is there going to be a move from the Fox Motorsports? I think it's all calmed down a little bit down at the Shell Oils. Is it going to kick off? Is there going to be an opportunity for Winley? Surely down to his lot.
It's slightly separating out. It's now 2 by 2. So that is Webster under the pressure from Queen, and McNeely's dropped off the back slightly of Queen, is now in the clutches of Irfan. So I'm looking forward to seeing some racing with two of those, as now back at the front once again. The two KMR Sport drivers are nose to tail as we see a move potentially in the background from Irfan. No, pulled out. Thought better of it.
Yeah, just had a bit of a look there, filling the mirrors of McNeely, who was wise to it. Didn't fancy missing the apex. He did miss a little bit there though, running wide on the exit of Knickerbrook, and that curve you can kind of ride it a little bit, but you know, you're asking for trouble going out there, right?
Yeah, these cars, as I mentioned a moment ago, you sit right on the floor, so if you hit a curve or hit the track, you feel it right up your spine, and if you run wide on a curve, the car completely bottoms out and you skateboard as if you were in like Tony Hawk's Skater, and you go in a straight line until you fall off the back of the end of the curve, and it's not very comfortable, and not very good for the floor of the car either.
Are you a big skateboard fan?
Back in the day, I can't do a kickflip. I can drop in though, that's what the kids say, yeah. Anyway, that's by the by.
I can do nothing of the sort. Tom Mills then sets the fastest lap of the race, closes the gap down to just over 4/10 of a second, or just under rather 4/10 of a second. Mills is charging to close his way back in. It was a 36.163 that we saw on the screen. The top two are faster than everyone else by a couple of tenths, but is that after the dramas of the previous lap? Is Webster going to have the speed to catch back up? Certainly. With the slipstream, I do believe so. It does just help a little bit, just pulls you along just a touch. It's nothing crazy, but it should be enough to bring you back into the mix.
A little bit of slipstream can help, although around here it doesn't make a huge difference, because what you gain on the straights you then lose. Even with these GB4 cars with not a huge amount of aerodynamics, that front wing you can see on the cars, it does produce some downforce, and the closer you get to the car in front, the less front grip you have, and the higher speed corners like, for example, Cascades and Druids. Tom Mills now filling the mirrors once again of his teammate Fairburn, who's doing a great job of defending and just keeping it consistent at the lead of the race.
Has there been an issue for McNeely there? And I think there has been, because McNeely's dropped back and he was going very slow over Hilltop, so he's dropped back behind Irfan and Alva into the clutches of Clifford. So good day, mate, says Clifford.
Yeah, small issue, must have been on the exit of the Britain chicane, maybe dropping a wheel there or going through the grass, because that is again another corner where if you drop a wheel off, the car just skateboards effectively, and you can't get it back on the circuit. You can easily lose 2 or 3 seconds.
I'm seeing a classic Tom Mills here, and I remember this from Snetterton last year. The amount of track he uses, particularly on the entry of corner. Keep your eye out for the 21. I saw it a little bit there coming down into Lodge into that final corner. Everyone's kind of giving a little bit of extra space towards the edge of the circuit. He is right over on the white line, on that, like basically taking maximum risk. His spatial awareness as to where the side of the car is, in my opinion, is unbelievable. He's second to none on this course.
Oh, we saw it all last year. As you mentioned, Snetterton, he'd hang the edge of the tyre over the side of the circuit going into Agostini. We've seen him, watch him into this lap if he does what he has on the last few laps. He'll left-hand tyres right up to the grass. Right-hand tyres here, so on the left shot. using all the curve there, and that's why he's got so much good speed. Because you know, as a driver coach, when you've been I've been driver coach, they're always saying, look, you need to use all the road, because think about it, you can carry so much more speed when you're right opening up the corner. If you're right on the inside of a corner going in, you can't roll the speed through the corner, and he's making the most of that. Of course, it can bite you if you then drop a wheel onto the grass,
which he's not done, to be honest. And that's not me trying to. That's not me trying to do the commentator's curse. I don't believe in the commentator's curse. It doesn't exist. It's only bad luck and bad driving. Sorry,
you see Thomas Lee at the back of the field there. He's just getting up to speed with that car. He hasn't had a huge amount of running, and it's a great looking car for of course, Thomas Lee. It's great to see him in the championship, a new driver for Evans GP, and of course his teammate doing very well, Cooper Webster in 3rd place. So yeah, good to see new teams on the grid.
Certainly is. When Evans GP was announced, I thought, for one, that logo looks pretty good, and for two, I think that livery looks pretty good. So we'll see what Webster can do. So crossing the line, what are the lap times we cross this time? Webster set the fastest lap on the previous occasion around this circuit, dropping a little bit of speed on that one, losing a tenth or two to Fairburn and Mills. So he's got the pace to kind of keep up, but it's, you know, is he overdoing the tyres? Is there a little bit of that in there? Do these really work their tyres that much?
Not particularly. These you've mentioned already in the pre-show. Oh, wheels wide on the exit cascades. You can only do that so many times because there is a sensor out there. Exit at turn 1. Also, I think on the exit of the Knickerbrook chicane, if you run too wide too many times, you'll end up with a time penalty from the stewards. But he's not slowed him down, is it really? He's got right up the back. What were we talking about?
We're talking about tyres.
Right. So you have 6 tyres of the weekend, the same Pirelli tyres that they use in GB3. These GB4 cars with slightly less aerodynamics, ever so slightly lighter, less power, they don't work the tyres quite as hard. So tyre weight isn't so much of an issue. You still do get a bit of a benefit from a new set of tyres or a couple of new tyres. So the tyre strategy throughout the weekend is somewhat important. As we can see, the leaders coming up to Lee at the back here. Hopefully Lee keeps out of the way and doesn't affect the race.
Oh, he's doing his best to just try and stay out there. Obviously, he's going to be on the racing line a little bit for Cooper Webster here. Could be the opportunity for Queen to get involved. Fortec getting involved with this one. Of course, that 62, that white and red, is all going to be all over the rear end coming down into Druids. Is not going to go anything here, but could be in fighting just to try something into Lodge.
Lodge is generally the easiest and best overtaking opportunity on this circuit. You can brake nice and late into here, V off the corner, sort of brake in a straight line down to the apex and overtake. But it's still not easy. It's downhill, tightens up for the apex. But anyway, let me finish my last thought.
Yeah, please.
GB4, long story short, they don't tend to wear their tyres too aggressively. They're less power, less weight, less aerodynamic grip than the GB3 cars. So wear is a consideration, but not so much. So it's basically flat out.
And also, 18 races, so they're short if we're getting into. So you've got more room to. And also, again, as we were talking about, if you were joining us in the GB3 coverage, if you weren't, then I'll update you. Whilst we're here racing on Saturday, we will not be racing tomorrow. We'll be racing on Monday, where the weather is expected to take a bit of a turn for the worse. So potentially for some of these teams, they will make the most of these tyres and wear them into the ground, push them as hard as they possibly can, because they might not have to use them again.
Yeah, I was looking up and down the grid when I was in the assembly area, and most drivers took 2 new tyres, so they used the final tyre 5 and 6 that they have that are new. Some of the drivers had some sort of scrubbed in new tyres, if that makes sense. They'd taken them out for a couple of laps in quali just to get the release agent off. As you see, Harry Burgoyne on the back of a Kevin Mills racing car there, KMR Sport. That must be... that must Jack Clifford.
It definitely is, indeed. He had to start from basically right at the back of the grids, did Clifford. He's working his way up the order bit by bit. Next target for Clifford is Alva. Not the next car ahead of that, though, because that, of course, is Lee going a lap down on this grouping. There's 4 of them coming through up towards Druids. That's McNeely going through the foreground of Shot. Then we have Alva, then we have Clifford, then we have Burgoyne, and then we have Harry Reynolds on that recovery drive after the issues early on.
Yeah, Reynolds will be looking to get through the use of drive. I think he's got a little bit more pace than the drivers ahead, but again, it's hard to overtake around Alton Park. It's a narrow circuit. As we see a look for the lead. Ooh, that was close. Is that a lead change, or is that just a look for the lead there?
I think it was a look for the lead. He didn't manage to make his way through. He certainly had a big look into Old Hall. Mills trying to get past Fairburn. Webster and Queen now closing right back up. It's a 4-way fight for the race lead in the first round of the GB4 Championship of 2023.
Yeah,
of course it is.
You did mention a moment ago that, it doesn't seem like Webster quite has the pace of the leading 2 and that gap might not close down. I was thinking Lewis. As soon as they start fighting for the lead, and I know they will, that gap is going to eradicate itself in a matter of corners, and here we are. We're going to have another 5-way fight for the lead, is my prediction, in the next couple of laps, as we have, of course, Webster and Queen still doing battle, as Queen has got an excellent exit out of the British chicane, so he'll be looking to put pressure on Webster going into Knickerbrook.
Yeah, certainly so. Let's see where he's going to go. So is he going to go left or right? The defensive line being taken by Cooper Webster, and he should be able to hang on in that number 37. Out a little bit wide on the exit of his slots, but that should be absolutely fine. But once again, it's that whole thing of, you know, one step forward. In this case, one step forward, one step back, not two steps back. They're okay. They're all keeping within fighting distance. But as soon as he's getting closer, then he's getting that fighting from behind, and he is being almost pulled off. You're absolutely right about this turning into a 5-car fight, though, because Irfan is definitely joining this. On the previous lap of the race, he set a 35.577, which has dragged him even into this fight because it's been the fastest lap of the race. Let's see, though. Here we go for the move. To the outside. Colin Queen's going to go for it. He's going to send it into the final corner. That could be a sensational move from the number 62. They're side by side across the line. The race down towards Old Hall as they complete the start-finish straight. Cooper Webster has the inside line. Colin Queen backs out of it, but is he trying the up and under?
He is. He's trying it, but he's not quite made that work. Unfortunately, turn one is quite a long corner, and it's quite hard to get that done. Normally, sort of cutting back on the exit, you need a shorter apex than that, but yeah, great effort around the outside. But now, after a slightly slow exit, Queen is going to be under pressure from Irfan, who's actually set the fastest lap of the race. Although we said that, McNeely is now taking the fastest lap, so he's going to be catching the back of this group shortly as well.
Yeah, pushing that benchmark even further. McNeely's just got clean air ahead and no pressure from behind. Alva's under pressure, of course, from Clifford and Burgoyne and Reynolds, as we've kind of said in that grouping on the back end of the top 10. So McNeely is the person that is the furthest away, basically, from anyone inside the top 10. He is just cruising at the moment, trying to set some decent lap times. Meanwhile, everyone up here is fighting like their life depends on it. There'll be 2 laps left to go after this one, so there will be plenty of time for opportunities. I'll double check that. It might not even be 2 laps.
Yeah, that would be. It's great.
Yeah, of course it will be 2 laps. What am I talking about?
It's great to see some high quality pace there from McNeely, who's set the fastest lap of the race by quite some margin of 1:35.35. That's
intense.
Over 2/10 faster than anyone else on circuit, really. So that's a great speed for him. And also McNeely driving for the new team for this championship, Fox Motorsport. As we see Tom Mills using all of the road once again on the right-hand side, looking for the cutback, and it's a bit of a squirrely exit for Fairburn.
Oh, this is good, though. Yeah, he certainly loves using everything that he can at Lodge. He's got fully alongside of his teammate coming up towards the first corner at Old Hall. He's squeezing his teammate over. Fairburn might drive in a little bit too deep here, but Mills was going for the up and under. That was perfectly judged by Fairburn. These two are fighting like their life depends on it, and there's the switchback. What a move as Tom Mills sends it in, coming into Cascades, and somehow Fairburn's able to hang on. How do you do that?
Oh my goodness, I thought I was about to see a big crash between teammates. We saw contact between Mills and Maberski last year, as now look who's getting in part of the scene. Cooper Webster sticking his nose at the inside, but no, can't get through this time.
Fantastic racing here on the penultimate lap of the first race of the season. Incredible stuff between the 2 KMR Sport teammates leading the field. I am sure Kevin Mills himself is watching this thinking, nah, Chief, I don't want to watch this. This is terrifying.
Tell you what, Tom Mills didn't mess about either through the British chicane, taking all the curb and more. That car are way up on 2 wheels. You can see how close they are visually of this camera angle.
Oh,
Cooper Webster with a poor run through the middle of the Knickerbrook chicane. Now he's under pressure from Queen, who's got a bad exit, so he's now under pressure from Irfan. It's non-stop, Lewis.
It really is. We are definitely going to lose our voice in this train. 5 of them staying very close together. Fairburn, I think the KMR Sport cars are definitely, at least what it seems in this race, they definitely seem as though they are the fastest in this group, but they're just fighting each other so hard that they're just not allowing themselves to pull apart. You're absolutely right, though. Irfan is trying to challenge Queen as Tom Mills did. He went for something there, going down into the final corner as they rise up Deer Leap and start the final lap of this race. It's incredibly close.
Cooper Webster's now right in the back as we see Irfan trying to go around the outside of Queen with the Vortec car. Irfan in the black and yellow Elite Motorsport car there at the back of this train. And of course the Vortec car of Queen is white and red, as they always do.
Yep, and then try and pick the black and yellow, almost like the charcoal grey and yellow of KMR Sport. A little bit wide there once again from Tom Mills. It's black and yellow in that number 37 for Cooper Webster. Sat 3rd in line, trying to attack, trying to find some way to make a move, try and split apart the KMR Sport. Big lock up there from Tom Mills
and
as
Queen.
They send it into Shell. oils, and they're throwing everything they can around.
There's absolutely nothing left on the table here. Everyone is pushing to the maximum. They want to be the first winner of the season, and it looks like, so far, touch wood, it's going the way of Fairburn, because he has driven an excellent race right from the front. He's absorbing the pressure from Mills, and he's got a slight gap going into Knickerbrook. That'll make him feel a little bit more relaxed, but it's not over yet.
By the way, McNeely's closing in on this. He's not going to have the time to get there, but he has been flying. He set the fastest lap again on the previous lap time, by 2/10 over his previous best. He is absolutely flying. That'll give him a major boost of confidence going into Monday. Final few corners left to dish off then. Fairburn will come through the double apex at Druids. He's going to hold off from his teammate as long as there is no mistakes coming down to Lodge. Is there going to be any switches? Is there going to be any attempts? Tom Mills has tried desperately to try and make his way through. As they head through Lodge, the nerves of steel from Fairburn, who will cross the line to lead a KMR Sport 1-2 in the first round of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC in 2023. Webster will round out the podium as 3 cars separated by less than a second. Queen and Irfan, all 5 of you take a bow. What a stunning start to the season. McNeely sets the fastest lap of the race and comes across the line in 6th before we get Alva, Clifford, Burgoyne, Reynolds, Kulkarni, Konzo, Smith, Hotchin and Lee all across the line. But what can you say about this kid? Absolutely sensational.
Tell you what, Lewis, I hope that this is a warning of what's to come for the rest of the year, because we know the GB4 Championship can throw up some excellent races, and Fairburn, fair play to him for absorbing all of that pressure from Mills, because we know how hard Mills races. He nearly had the move done at Cascades with a last-minute dive to the inside. I thought there was going to be contact, but just about held on from his teammate. The KMR Sport team will be over the moon with that, 1st and 2nd place, and then a well done also, of course, to Cooper Webster, first race in the UK, first podium.
Yeah, it's certainly not bad for Cooper Webster and the Evans Grand Prix team. But for KMR Sport, like I said, they've got 3 cars in this race. Clifford was able to work his way forward throughout that race, and you can see there, looking at the 87, you can see how much that means to Fairburn. He'll be absolutely ecstatic in the interviews, and I'm sure Jonas will be desperate to catch up with him, because after a race like that, after fending off your teammate with such aggression for that time, I mean, when you're looking at that, I know Tom Mills will be disappointed, but I'm sat here as a spectator watching that thinking, mate, he threw everything he could at that race, do everything to try and get past his teammate, to try and win. He was saying about how much his teammates have learned, how much his teammates have come on in speed, courtesy of some of the data from previous years and all that such. It just shows KMR Sport are very, very strong. I mean, they were very strong last year as a team, as we know. Yeah, how many wins and stuff. Obviously, Waberski was one of their drivers last year who went on to go and take part in GB3 and did a very impressive job earlier on in qualifying and in the GB3 race. Is Tom Mills destined to follow in their footsteps? Is Fairburn destined to follow in their footsteps? There is certain potential from this grid. Cooper Webster, I'm sure, will be relatively happy with a 3rd place finish. As you can see, Fairburn celebrating at the top of his car. he is ecstatic. Let's see what the teammates are like. Big embrace between the pair of them, and I'm sure kind words between the pair of them, because both of them should be proud. What a race between the two. It was hard racing, but there was respect, and that is the important bit. That, honestly, a race like this is the showcase that you show to other junior formula all across the world, to show this is exactly how it is done. They were racing on the absolute limit of the racetrack. They were pushing each other to the very limit, and now we get to catch up with them courtesy of Jon Jackson.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lewis. We can see Gemma, the aficionado of the GB4 Championship there, giving Jeremy Fairburn his hat, and I mean, what a race there. You made that move, you made it stick, and you were challenged throughout.
Yeah, he kept me on my feet the whole time, that's for sure, but I knew I had to get him on lap 1 or else he would just break away, possibly, but yeah, I'm very glad to have pulled that off.
I mean, that was just really impressive, especially with Tom having the extra year of GB4 experience, and I mean, great for the team as well.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier right now, on top of the world, to be honest.
A lot of people must be watching back home, so a message for them perhaps?
Thank you for all the support, everyone. I miss you guys back at home, but you know, got my work cut out for me tomorrow for sure, starting P6 in race 2, but let's see what we can do.
You have indeed, Jeremy. We'll let you go and celebrate with the rest of the KMR Sport team. Apart from Tom, who I need to go and grab now. Tom Mills coming second. Tom, I mean, started pole position, but Jeremy put a good move together there, and I mean, exciting racing, but you couldn't get past him.
That's the problem with Alton Park. Whoever leads into turn one more than 90% of the time wins the race. It's so hard to overtake. I just had so much understeer following him. But fair play to him, he did a good start. He did me at the line, and that was basically the race over then. I gave it a good go afterwards, but you just can't get anywhere near anybody around here.
Yeah, you literally tried everything, but it was just too quick. And obviously with Cooper behind as well, he was pretty quick as well, so you had to worry about you know, attacking and defending.
Yeah, whenever I put pressure on Jeremy, after I tried to move, Cooper was then all over the back of me, so yeah, it was tough. Like I said, well done to Jeremy, great result for the team, 1-2, but obviously I'm disappointed on my side. I got pipped on the start and just can't get past here.
That's all right, you've got another couple of races coming up on Monday. Tom Mills, second place for KMR Sports, congratulations to him. We're going to move around here. Let's find our third place driver. It's a little bit tricky to get around here. Cooper, congratulations. Not a bad result in your first race in GB4 to get on the podium.
Yes, yeah, that was a great race. You know, one of the best races I've had in years. Just very exciting, go-kart like. You know, everyone was so close the whole race. Yeah, I know. I was feeling that I couldn't fight the two Mills cars there because I just didn't feel like I had the pace in some of the corners. But I did my best and held my own against the others. But yeah, it was a fun race.
Yeah, and you had Colin Queen behind you as well, and certainly doing everything he could to get around you. Great for the team as well, Evans GP in their first GB4 race to get a podium.
Yeah, absolutely. Like first race in the series and a podium. You know, we can't ask for much more than that. And you know, we will build on this, and we will take what we learned from this and go into the other rounds because we're working hard. So.
What is it, like nearly 3 a.m. back home in Australia? A message for people watching?
Yeah, I know my family's watching. They said they'd wake up for this race. I told them just watch it in the morning, but they were adamant they had to watch it. So, hello everyone back at home. But yeah, it's the weather's alright here.
It looks warm, but it ain't warm. Cooper, congratulations on third place, and thanks to everyone for getting up nice and early to watch you in the middle of the night. You can go back to bed now and rejoin us on Monday for race 2 and race 3. Cooper Webster, third place for Evans GP. Congratulations. We'll let you go and celebrate with the rest of the team now, get some photos done. What an exciting race that was. We'll let you duck under. It's absolutely fine. Yeah, I mean, just GB4, ever since it started last year, has just been wheel to wheel, or it's been car after car with people attacking and having to defend. As Tom Mills was saying there, you know, he's trying to attack his teammate, but also he's having to defend from Cooper there because Cooper was right up behind him. Absolutely intense racing. 2 more races coming up in the GB4 Championship on Monday, but for now, let's see this first podium of the season. Lewis McGlade will talk you through it.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Jon Jackson there, absolutely spot on the money. It's just incredible. It's one of those things with GB4 that we were kind of really pushing last season, is that yes, the grids aren't crazy big. Don't get me wrong, 15 is great for the GB4 Championship, but points last season we had 9 cars and the racing was absolutely incredible. I still remember Brands Hatch, some of the racing we were getting, some of the side-by-side, some of the pressure that was being dealt out, and it does look as though copy and paste that onto 2023. We are in for an absolute thriller of the year. Fingers crossed that that Tom Mills is able to contend all of the rounds. You've got Gemma there, you've got Palmer as well, of course, JP, and Richard Randall, all keeping the drivers company, almost looking like a bunch of bodyguards as they head up to the first podium of the season. Good day to all of the Australians, by the way, who have woken up to watch this. I remember this with Waberski as well last year, and obviously this will happen in GB3. The support, the national support from South Africa, he would have a load of people from South Africa that would tune in. Obviously they're not waking up crazy early in the mornings. Time-wise, yeah, exactly. But Australia, very early in the morning for a lot of those, and yet still, you've all made it to the race. So congrats! And this is your rewards. You get to see Cooper Webster taking to his first podium in the first race. He'll be handed the trophy by Jonathan Palmer, and that'll be a very tasty trophy indeed. I said he's missing a big esports race to take part in this, and I'm pretty sure events like that and races like that will make it worthwhile. Tom Mills adding to his podium collection. He had quite a few in 2022 as Kevin Mills Racing, as it was then, KMR Sport went on to win the team's championship. Then the race winner from the KMR Sport team, it is Jeremy Fairburn. And again, an incredible performance on debut, having to fend off his teammate Tom Mills. When you get to racing like that, it's what makes GB4 so good. A big round of applause for all three of those drivers, and to be fair, the couple behind, Colin Queen, also added to that a fair amount, as did Irvin. They all put on an incredible show for us here this afternoon on what has been an absolutely stunning afternoon here in Alton Park. Unfortunately, I do feel the weather on Monday won't quite match. Maybe the podium celebrations will be a little more subdued when it comes to the Monday podiums, but alas, plenty of crowds have come out to watch not only, of course, the other racing that's been going on, but of course GB3 and GB4. I am expecting, despite the horrible weather, if you are watching this and thinking, maybe I don't come down on Monday. No, absolutely do. It is going to be packed. It is going to be excellent, and I simply cannot wait. We'll head down to Piers Pryor, though, who's catching up with a couple of drivers.
So we've got with Jason Conzo. We're here at the after the race. That's your first experience with the GB4 racing. How was that for you? Unfortunate at the start.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate stall out for me, but it was a good recovery drive. I noticed there was the group in front of me, so I was just trying to hang on to that train and catch up. Unfortunately, ran out of enough laps, but it was a great experience overall. Loving the GB4 series so far.
And the circuit as well, it's a good combo. I'm sure you enjoyed hunting them down on the, because Alton Park's a great track, right?
Oh, certainly. With that train up in front, since Alton Park's such a fast, on-the-edge track, it was a lot of fun really catching up to the train and really hanging it out there, leaving it all out on the track. And although I didn't improve my position, I'm excited for tomorrow. Should be a good race.
Monday, of course. You've got a day off tomorrow because, of course, it's bank holiday. But what are you expecting if the conditions become a little bit changeable on Monday? It's something a bit of a mix-up. Do you think you can come through forward in the field if that happens?
Oh, certainly. I've always been well in the rain, at least in America, so I'm excited. I know the Europeans are very good wet weather drivers, so I'm excited to test my wet weather skills and definitely gain a couple positions. That train's got another thing coming for them tomorrow.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. You've also, you just mentioned it, you've come from America. How has it been sort of adjusting to coming back to coming to Europe and obviously racing over here? Are you living here for the season or are you commuting back to America?
Yeah, so far me and my dad have been going back and forth for the race weekends, and when we're not, we're enjoying our time doing as much racing as we can in the States. The drivers are good here. Europe definitely lives up to expectations, so we're super excited about to test our wet weather skills, like I said, tomorrow. Give them a run for their money.
Well, let's see how you get on Monday. Good to chat to you. Thanks very much. We'll chat to you later, I'm sure. We've got Colin Queen. Colin, let's grab a word. Colin, that was a tasty race, wasn't it?
Yeah, it definitely was. Yeah, the start was, could have been a bit better. Reaction time, just literally focusing on getting the start done properly. I was, good enough to cover McNeely on the inside, going into turn one, and then, just got into a rhythm after that. It was quite hectic, especially with the battle with Tom and Jeremy up front. At points I was like, they're going to take each other out. But yeah, it was even more difficult dealing with a broken steering column in Druids when I went airborne. I don't know if you guys saw that on TV, but yeah, the whole race is just like that. So
talk to us about that. So you went wide, we saw you run wide, and there was a little bit of it bumped up in the air. What happened? The steering column was a bit bent, was it?
Yeah, well, the bolt snapped off, so it was like going in a circle half the time. So it was quite physical, to say the least, but I tried my best, I guess. And, I'm glad we had the pace to stay up front and keep up front. Yeah, the qualifying effort, the pace was definitely more than that, and I think in this race we definitely showed that. So going into Monday, it's obviously going to be wet. We went on the new tires anyway just to get the most out of it, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Encouraging to be right in the lead fight from basically the first round of the season. Of course, you've got some great help with Fortec team, and of course Nicholas Taylor, last year's champion, helping coach you guys. Are you looking forward to a strong year? Are you thinking about championships, or is it way too early to talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's everyone's game, really. You know, you have Cooper, Tom, and I don't know if he's going to do the whole season or not, and Jeremy Fairburn. So it's going to be quite a close championship, to say the least. I know we're definitely in the hunt for that, and we're looking at that quite closely and thoroughly. The team's been great throughout the preseason testing. Definitely got me up to speed with the getting out of Formula Ford and just learning all these new techniques in a slicks and wings car. But now I think we're quite there. There's a little bit more pace to find, but I think once we got that, we'll be good to go, and we can be in the championship hunt easily. I'm
looking forward to it, Colin. Well done, your first race of the season. I'll leave you to it. Have a good evening and enjoy your day off tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you. Dylan Hotchin. Let's have a word. That's your first experience of the GB4 Championship as well. Of course, you're running as effectively a privateer outfit. You mentioned to me a moment ago you had a bit of an issue with throughout the race that you were managing.
Yeah, we had a gearbox problem. It's selecting fourth down straights and second through corners, and we had a successful time. I've learnt the car, I've learnt all the corners. It's been nice driving around by myself. No one to annoy me and just get the track time, really. So yeah, it's been good.
Good combination, Alton Park and the GB4 car for you then, enjoying it?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. It's a different feel of a car, but it's very nice to feel. They're lovely to drive, and they're very quick.
And remind us what you've been doing beforehand.
I used to be a Fiesta ST driver, 180 tin top, so yeah, they was nice cars, but this is the best car I've drove ever.
And also we love the look of your car on circuit with the carbon and the bright pink. Is that your choice? Are you a fan of the livery? I'm certainly a fan of the livery.
Yeah, pink makes girls wink, don't they? So yeah, it's lovely. Well, the team decided it, my mum and my sisters, they decided it, but I love the colour. It's different, isn't it?
Very different and very striking on circuit. Thanks very much for your time. We'll grab a word with you tomorrow, I'm sure. Let's see if we've got anyone else coming along. Harry Reynolds. Harry, for the Elite Motorsport team. Your race suit says Tom Leben, but we spoke to Tom earlier on. You're not Tom. Harry, how was that for you?
Not great. We had a problem in park pre-race and then stalled off the line. So it happens, but at least we've got things to work on and hopefully be better Monday.
Monday, of course, day off between today's racing. Easter Sunday tomorrow, and we're back racing on Monday. What are you looking forward to on Monday?
Just getting back out there and just keep learning. That's what it's all about, and just keep learning going forward, hopefully.
Is that your aim for the year? Are you just thinking about absorbing as much as you can, or are you going to be going for race wins? What's your outlook?
Well, at the minute we're only doing the first round, so if I come back, then hopefully we'll be going for wins. That's always going to be the goal. But as long as I'm happy and going forward, then we can't ask for anything more.
And of course, Monday we've heard that there's potentially going to be changeable. There might be some wet weather. Have you driven around Alton Park in the wet before? If you have, then how do you think it will be in the GB4 car?
Yes, I've driven a few weeks ago in the wet, and it's a lot different. But I think it'll cause some good racing, especially with the reverse grid. So I think it's something to look forward to.
I'm very much looking forward to it. Great to chat to you. Thanks very much. Hopefully we'll catch up with you again on Monday. Let's bring in our wonderful presenter, Jon Jackson.
I was just chatting with Caitlin Hotchin, who is Dylan's sister.
Yes.
I keep getting Dylan's name wrong, which I apologise for. I've got some answers to some of the questions that we've talked about, and you might have been watching now and you might want to know the answer. She chose the hot pink. She persuaded him when they did Ford Fiestas that they should go with hot pink, and now he's got the hot pink. He's not very happy because of the gearbox. You may have just talked to him about that there. But she's saying, look at the positives, you knocked a second off your best time. So there we go, right? And it's a family team. Dad is involved. She's studying advertising, Caitlin, so she's part of this. She's been doing all the branding, and I think it really shows that if you've got a family team, it's really good. And we saw that with KMR Sport with Tom and his dad Kevin,
of course,
doing really well and getting pipped. And Tom, you could tell Tom Mills was was a little bit annoyed.
I haven't actually, because I was running over in the comms box. I haven't seen the interview. Yeah. We know Tom is.
You can imagine he was like it last season with Jared.
Yeah, I know he's a hard fighter and he always wants to go out there and win. He's disappointed with anything less than a win. So, but it's great to see such a competitive fight for the lead. Top 5 drivers right within I think it was a second and a half. it could have been anyone's fight. As we spoke to a moment ago between Colin McQueen just said, I thought they were going to take each other out, and I thought they were going to take each other out.
And did Colin tell you about his steering problem as well?
Oh my goodness, yeah. Going down the Alton Park circuit without a steering wheel that works is quite impressive.
Even more impressive. So we've got 2 more races coming up on Monday. Easter Sunday off, as it always is. What are you going to be doing on Easter Sunday,
I'm having a nice chill day, take the dogs for a walk, probably, watch the racing back, of course, on the live on the YouTube channel, seeing how well we went.
Are you bigging up the fact that you can rewatch these races if you've only just joined halfway through, or maybe maybe you're watching in a different country and you're not quite awake?
One of the amazing things about live streaming these days on YouTube is, of course, you can watch live as you are right now, or some of you aren't. You're watching later on, and we will be doing that.
I'm going to be watching it back throughout the whole of Easter Sunday, just to make sure that I didn't miss anything at all. So on Monday, we're well across it, as more than we even are now. That's what I'm.
As much as we're on top of it already.
Basically, yeah. So we're back. We've got 2 races in the GB4 Championship, 2 races in the GB3 Championship as well. And of course, the final race of the weekend in both championships is a reverse grid race.
Yes,
so for people who are watching for the first time, that can throw up some interesting racing.
It throws up some really interesting racing because, of course, with race 1 and race 2 for both GB3 and GB4, you race on merit. So you qualify. You start where you qualify. No, not in race 3. You put some of the slower drivers. Again, the grid spread is not massive. Slower drivers in front, so in theory the faster drivers will be trying to find their way through the slightly slower drivers, and that always creates good racing.
Excellent. Well, we can't wait for that. We do have one more normal grid race before then. All the race times are available on all across the GB3 and the GB4 Championship social media. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you follow as well. And as I said a little bit earlier on, we want to know what you want to see from behind the scenes. We get excellent access to these drivers, the teams, everyone involved in the racetrack weekend. We could go in the cafe and talk to the caterers if you want. I wouldn't, because they're busy and all that. But let us know on social media. We'll check the comments, and when we return on Monday, we'll take you even more behind the scenes here in the GB4 and the GB3 Championship. Thank you very much for watching. As Piers said, you can rewatch this if you've joined halfway or you just want to relive the action from today, and we'll see you after Easter Sunday on Monday. I believe it's called Easter Monday. Have a great Easter.